Hey everybody, it's Suze here from Revelation Quilts. I am here to interview a very special person who's a member of the Revelation Quilt Guild. Her name is Carolyn Gherkin. She lives in Minnesota, and as you can see behind me, she is an avid quilter. So welcome, Carolyn. Welcome to the Revelation Quilts Guild interview people from the guild.
Thanks, Suze.
Are you excited?
I'm excited.
Good.
Thank you.
So we're going to find out a little bit about Carolyn. Carolyn lives in Apple Valley, Minnesota. And how long have you lived in this area?
We've lived in Apple Valley for 30 some years, and we lived in Minnesota since 1974.
Oh, wow, that's a long time.
Yeah.
And what got you into quilting? Like, how did you first get into quilting?
Well, my mother quilted, my mother-in-law quilted, and so I was pretty natural that I would quilt. But my mother pretty much taught me, but I did take some lessons from another person at first. So I've been quilting this for a long time.
What year did you make your first quilt?
My first big quilt was 1989.
Wow, so it's been a few years.
Yeah.
That you've been quilting.
Yeah.
And when you were growing up, did you have quilts around your home and things like that?
My mother made quilts, but she made them for other people mostly.
Okay.
And finished quilts for other people.
And what did she make the quilts out of? Like, where did she get her fabric and things like that?
She had a lot of feed sack fabric, but she also made it out of old clothing.
Really?
Yeah, that was
So
kind of
like
necessity then.
Sure. And did she make your clothing too?
She made all my clothing, yes.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Wow. And so did you when you were younger, like did you grow up making things too?
I did learn how to make clothing from my this will age me a little bit, but through my home ec class in high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, very nice. And has your quilting changed at all throughout the years? Like the style or of quilting and things?
I think most of my quilts were made out of small pieces and everything with templates. And then I only made quilts and hand quilted them.
Okay.
And I've graduated to not doing that because it takes too much time, but I like to send my quilts out to long arm people.
Okay, yeah. And how often would you say that you have, I mean, do you always have a project going, or do you finish a project before you start a new one? Like, you know how some people have 30 projects going at once and some people just do one at a time. Where do you fit in there?
Well, I try to finish something before I start something else, but usually if I have something at the long arm, I already start because I can't wait to start a new project to get started on something else.
Right. So while your quilts are at the long armor, you're starting
already on another project. Yes.
Something new. That's pretty neat. Okay. And what's your favorite part about being a quilter? As far as the process of making it?
I think it's just fun to create. I love fabric. I like bright colors now. I've changed over the years. I used to do pastel more, but now I like bright, vibrant colors.
Hence this quilt ladder here with all the bright colors.
Yes.
Right? And what's your least favorite part about making a quilt?
I think sandwiching them.
Yeah, that's the worst.
Yeah. But a lot of people don't like binding them, but I love binding quilts because I like to sit and watch TV and do that.
Okay, so you hand bind?
I do.
All of your quilts? Do you hand bind both sides or just?
I sew them on the front and then flip them over and sew the back by hand.
Okay, all right. That's
really relaxing for me, but I do it in front of the television.
Well, yeah, you got to do that. Do you do a lot of other hand sewing? I
like embroidery. And I can sometimes incorporate that into my quilts. I have some patches right now that I'm going to sew together in a quilt.
Okay. Florals. How many quilts do you think you've made in your whole quilting career? Like if you've had
probably I've made about 10 large ones, bed-size quilts, but I've probably made 100 other quilts, other wall hangings and stuff like that.
It's impossible to count, isn't it?
It is. And I try to give a lot away, but I have a lot here at home too.
Yeah.
Too many.
I've been a witness to how many quilts she has in her home. They're everywhere and they're all 100% beautiful, for sure.
Thank you.
And then, do you have like a specific, are you more of a traditional, as far as like the quilts you make, would you say they're more traditional quilts or more contemporary or modern?
I think originally all my quilts were traditional quilts.
Mhm.
And now I'm starting to do some more modern type quilts, but I'm beginning to like bright colors a lot more
Sure,
and larger pieces in my quilts too now.
yeah. Do you have a favorite quilt or fabric line or manufacturer? Do you not? Do you just have all different kinds?
I like everything, but I do like batiks now. I like all the bright colors and I like Moda fabrics because they're very nice fabric.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Do you,
I like everything. I like everything.
that's good. Do you have a favorite quilt or pattern designer?
Uh, Susan is very good at that, you know, in fact,
You mean me?
you, Susan.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, the one next to her is the one that she has done on one of her tutorials.
This
And that
one
was
right
so
here.
much fun to make, yes.
Yeah. So I'm your favorite
Of course I am.
quilt designer.
Yes, of course you are.
Oh, thanks. It's nice. She kind of has to say that because a little secret we haven't revealed yet is this is my mom. So she kind of had to say that. I didn't pay her
I
to say
didn't have
that.
to say that, but it's true.
Aw, that's nice. So, what did you think when I started quilting? What were your thoughts about
I
that?
was really surprised because I never thought she would be a quilter, but she's really, let's say she has outdone me in that field. She's just really creative and I more or less, I have to follow a pattern. I'm not able to think up my own patterns like she is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been to a lot of quilt shows together
We
and
have,
yeah, yeah.
that's fun.
Well, good.
It's too bad we live so far apart though.
I know. Yeah, Carolyn lives in Minnesota and I live in Waco, Texas. So we really only get to visit once or twice a year.
Right,
Something
right.
like that.
Yeah.
Well, Carolyn has brought the very first large quilt that she ever made. So do you want to show us that?
How do I do this? Just hold it.
We'll you don't have to unfold it, just hold it up, they get the idea. So this is the very, like, her first quilt, she started with a super hard. I mean, for a beginner, this is kind of hard, right?
Yes.
But it's really pretty. It's got the blues and the pinks. And it looks kind of bright on my laptop where we're doing this, but the pink is kind of a muted, I would
Pastel.
call it like a dusty
Yeah,
pink.
yes,
But
definitely.
I mean, for a first quilt, this is pretty amazing. And it is 100% hand quilted too, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And you said that when you finished piecing it, what did you do with it?
Well, I was still working when I made this quilt. It took me a long time to make the top. But then I took it to Illinois. That's where we were from, and I took it to my mother's house. I took time off of it from work on a vacation. And I think I spent 2 weeks there and I took it to my mother and she was willing to help me quilt it. Then we invited my mother-in-law my mother taught to quilt and we all quilted it together. And it's just awesome to have that memory.
Yeah, that's pretty special. I wish
Yeah.
I could have something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Well, we could quilt together.
Yeah, I'm not hand quilting anything. Just so,
I'm not either
just so
anymore.
you know. So, do you have a favorite technique? Like, some people love paper piecing, some people love applique, some people love, like me, I love kaleidoscope quilts. Do you have like a favorite type of quilt technique that you
Well,
prefer?
lately I've made several string quilts. I'm trying to get rid of some of my fabric, although it doesn't take a lot of fabric to do that, but
Right.
I like string quilts, but I like bright colors and I like Donna Jordan fabric patterns.
Sure.
She does a really good job.
Yeah, she has a lot of great ideas.
Yeah, but I like bright colors now.
Yeah, so you like the string quilts? You
I
like
do.
making those? Good.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
nice.
And I like applique too. So,
Yeah?
yeah.
My mom actually taught me how to applique. I had no idea how to applique, so she taught me how to do it. That's really like the only huge thing you've taught me.
I think so.
Yeah, I think I taught you how to paper piece.
I think one time we got together and you said you didn't know how and I showed you how and now you know how and I don't know how. I don't like paper piecing.
Oh, you don't?
No, I don't.
No, yeah, every time I start a new paper piecing project, I have to reteach myself
Yeah,
how to do it, because if you don't do it all the time, you kind of lose, which way do you turn the fabric
Right.
and things like
and
that.
cutting the fabric sometimes too little or too big or whatever,
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah, but the nice thing about paper piecing is that it's so accurate.
It's
I mean,
done.
you just get these amazing points, and so I really like paper piecing. I don't love applique. I'll do it if I have to,
Right.
but yeah, not a huge fan.
We like the English paper piecing too.
Yeah, I'm just getting started in English paper piecing, so. And it's a huge stretch for me because I'm not a huge hand sewer. I don't really enjoy hand sewing, but traveling across the country has really helped. Give me something to do while we're traveling, or while I'm sitting here visiting with my mom. It's nice to just sit on the sofa and have a nice conversation, and it gives your hands something to do.
Yeah, I've got a English paper piecing project, grandmother's flower garden that I've been working on for about 10 years.
Do you think you'll ever get it done?
I think so, but I have to live a little longer.
Yeah, you will. She will.
It's
for
huge.
sure. Very nice.
Yeah,
And are there any other hobbies or crafts that you do or have?
I love to cook.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm a decent cook. And we like to travel.
Uh-huh.
We've done a little bit of that over the years.
They would spend their winters in Arizona and their summers here in Minnesota.
Oh.
Yeah. So they've been doing that for how many years?
22 years,
Wow.
but it's coming to an end. We're not going to do that anymore.
Right. Are you a member of any guilds or organizations, quilty type things?
I belong to one here in a city real close to us. They meet once a month. And I've had a group of 6 ladies that I've been quilting with, having a little group with for almost 30 years, but we've kind of disbanded. And just a few of us get together, but we don't really quilt. We just have lunch.
Well, that's nice too. There's nothing wrong with that. You can never turn down food.
Yeah, and then in Arizona, we had a couple of quilt groups too. One of them was in a park and it had 90 members.
Wow.
And
That's
we
a
got
lot.
together 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Had a big sew day on one day and meetings on other days, and
Well, that was kind of like a quilt guild, right?
it was,
And
yeah.
then you had a show,
We have a show
They
every,
have
we
an
had a show
annual
every year
show.
and a raffle every year.
right?
So yeah,
Very nice.
it's fun, but we went to a different place and I haven't got a group there, but that's okay. I enjoy sewing at home.
Sure. As we all do. I think a lot of quilters are kind of
Yeah.
lone people. Like I spend most of my time in my quilt studio by myself. I don't quilt with a bunch of other people
Right.
ever.
When you sew with a lot of people, you don't get a lot of sewing done because you do a lot of talking.
Yeah, I suppose. So do you have a certain type of quilt on your bucket list that you want to do? Like, everybody's got a quilt pattern or a quilt style that's on their bucket list. Like someday I really want to make one of these. Do you have
Well,
anything like that?
Yes, I was just thinking about it today. I think I want to do a hunter star.
Yeah, those are beautiful.
Yeah, I think I can handle that. I've got enough fabric, of course, to do that.
Do you have a big fabric stash?
More than I need. Yeah,
Well, doesn't everybody, right?
everybody, you can't have too much fabric.
Exactly. It's fun to pet and
Yes.
touch and just look at.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
we
so
call that fondling your fabric.
fondling your fabric.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. And so when you start a new project, do you go out and buy new fabric, or do you use what's in your stash?
In the last year or 2, I've been trying to use my stash, but I usually have to buy backing because I don't like to piece my backings.
No, that's not fun.
So
for me.
yeah, now I'm getting a stash of leftover backings.
Oh, that's good.
But you can use that in smaller projects too, so,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Anything other than a hunter star that you want to attempt?
I don't know, is it called a pineapple block?
Mhm.
I like that.
Yeah, those are pretty.
I have a bunch of the fabrics that are on cards, and I've got a big collection of those, probably have 83 of them.
What are those called? Rosa,
Bella Rose, is that right?
something like
Villa
that.
Rose,
Oh, Villa Rose Designs, yeah.
And I've made about 15 of those,
Yeah.
so that's progress.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah,
Yeah, so you mentioned that you are making quilts for future great-grandchildren.
Yes. Yes, I've got probably 6 or so of those already made.
Mhm.
And we have another one coming in late August, so I, of course, have one for that baby coming.
Yeah. And so hopefully, the mom won't see this and be surprised.
Oh, she's not, unless she looks through my camera. I won't let her do that.
Oh, yeah. And so there might be great-grandchildren that are born years from now after you're gone.
Right,
But they will still have quilts for
That's
them
right.
made by their great-grandma, which I think is a brilliant idea.
somebody will also have to choose them,
Well, that's fine.
but that's
Yeah.
up to you girls, so,
Sure. I think that's pretty neat.
yeah.
All right, well, do you have anything else do you have a favorite quilt that you've ever made?
The last one I do is always my favorite.
That's a good answer. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good answer.
yeah.
All right, is there anything you want to say to the people that are in the guild as far as like, if they're maybe just a beginner or they're just starting out, like, do you have any advice for them as a new quilter?
I think that when people make quilts, sometimes people can be critical of their color choice or their way they're putting it together, but like Zeus has referred to quilt police.
Mhm.
You don't listen to that. There's many different ways to do things, and so you have to just do your own thing. And so don't listen to other people.
That's good advice.
Yeah.
Anything else that you would say to them? What about somebody who has never made a quilt and wants to get started? How would you suggest that they get started into quilting?
Well, just find a few blocks that are pretty to you and pick out a little bit of fabric and start with one block at a time
Mhm.
and try different blocks and then put them together.
Would you suggest having a quilt teacher?
If one's available, yeah, I've taught a few groups some quilt patterns.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think it's wise that if you have if you have access to someone, yeah,
Sure.
for sure. All you have to do is ask. Anybody that's a quilter is willing to help.
Yeah, we pretty much love to teach other people.
We
don't
do, we
Yeah,
do.
that's awesome. Well, thank you, Mama, for joining me. I
You're
love
welcome,
you.
sweetie.
And,
you too.
you know, if you have a mama who's a quilter, give her an extra hug and a kiss because that's where you got your talent from, if
Right.
that's where you got your talent from. And, I guarantee that if your mom is still with us, and I guarantee that she's super proud of you and the things that you've made and the things that you accomplished, so,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, you betcha. I wish that my mother was still alive to see what I've done.
Yeah, yeah, so quilts, quilts are heirlooms for sure. And
Yeah.
and they become a legacy, so all the quilts that my mom has made is part of her legacy, and all the quilts that I make are part of my legacy.
Right.
And hopefully that'll get passed down through the generations,
Yeah.
right? And it keeps your memory alive, it keeps your spirit alive, so
And it keeps you active, which is a big thing.
absolutely. Although, I mean, quilting's not a high form of exercise by any means.
Really, just remember to get out of your chair once in a while.
Yeah, you're not gonna burn too many calories. Maybe lifting your presser foot,
Right.
but
Yeah. Right.
yeah, but anyway, well, thank you for joining me. It was super fun to interview you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for letting me join your group.
yeah, for sure. You did a good job.
Thank you.
So if anybody has comments for Carolyn, just put them under this video and she will be sure to read them.
I will do that for sure.
Yeah, for
Thank you.
sure. All right, well, talk to you guys later.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye.